Your movie Clowning PM has been in the marketplace for about 2 years or so. Can you tell us the story of the release?
Yeah, we finished the picture, we went into COVID. So then we had to go in and actually do all the editing and painstakingly figure out how to finish the piece over the course of COVID. So getting into 2022 with a finished movie, it was a difficult situation because one of our executive producers, he had changed his career during that time. And it was going to be, he was going to be the individual to really get the picture out there based off of past work that he's pushed into the ether. And I believe he tried to push it out as best as he could, probably given his time restraints with the new career even. I and my producing partner went off and we found Gravitas Ventures and we began to put this deal together with them to put the movie out. And for a first-time filmmaker, whether or not it's a big release or a small release, getting something put out, I can tell you right now, for sure is by far more important than any money. The first film is a fishing pole, not a fish. Like truly beyond the most important facet was if you Google clowning movie and you see all the different places it's out there to watch, I can't even tell you the amount of future film financiers who have paid for other work of mine who has never even watched the movie. And they just Google it and they're like, oh, it's been sold. Okay, cool. He's done something. And it's almost like that first film, it really is that final gate that you have to climb over to be able to keep making future work. So the release was quite intriguing because working with Gravitas Ventures, you know, they're a great company. And I know that there are filmmakers out there who feel a bit differently about that fact. But when we worked with them, they're very transparent about how you have to do the marketing as a filmmaker. That they're going to put your picture out, and I'm so grateful to the work that they've done. And then it really is on the filmmakers to get the word of mouth out into the ether and get people to watch the films. Now, it's early on for me with working with Gravitas and releasing that picture. So I don't, we're still going through different quarters of release and figuring out the financial side of things, but everything seems to be a very positive experience thus far. But again, I know I've met filmmakers who are disappointed by releasing their first movie. And I think a lot of times people expect that they're going to release a movie and then they're going to get like $1 million check or a studio is going to give them a call. But that's not the way it is. The way it is truly is that you have to find your audience. You got to push out your movie yourself. Even if you're using a bigger distributor. A friend of mine had a movie distributed by Saban. And that company, they actually had money that they put into the marketing. They actually did do a deal with Paramount to release his picture. And that, there's still a side of his story, though, where he also still had to keep pushing to get an audience to come and watch the film. It's never going to be entirely... look, one reason it's like, why do studios pay almost $30 million to release a movie? Well, they're doing that as well because they're getting through to the masses, through all the noise and making sure that people know that this thing exists. One of my favorite filmmakers, Luc Besson, I might be saying his name incorrectly there, but he made a movie called Dogman that stars Caleb Landry Jones. And I was so over the moon about seeing this movie, and it hit AMC. And no one even knew. I just watched it like a week ago. And I'm like calling people like, oh my God, his new movie, you got to go see this. Caleb does remarkable in this picture. And it is an amazing movie. If you haven't gotten to see it yet, go watch this picture. But the point is that I, as someone who goes to the movie theater 3 times a week, didn't even know it was coming. So if you're not marketing your movie, and let's just say you're an individual in Kentucky who just made a first feature film in the scary genre, and they're trying to put that picture out and they put it out with Gravitas Ventures or another distributor, if you don't market your film, you can't expect that it's going to get out into the ether and be seen by 1 million people.
Sure, and even when there is a bigger release, it has such a short window of time for our attention,
Truly.
So it just may be like a blurb of a week. We hear about it, see billboards around LA, and then that's it.
And another facet is, I always told my investors on clowning specifically that just give me a little time and wait until I make my next film. Because it's also putting out more work. Because if you put out another film and it has some success, there's gonna be, let's say, 1 million filmmakers around the planet, or whatever that number is. They might go back and actually pay to rent your first movie. And then there's where it starts to make its money. You know, so it is also a tidal wave of continuing to work and create things. This is not a world of one and done. And also, when you look back at Clerks or Pulp Fiction or certain types of films, like let's say Darren Aronofsky's movie Pi. Well, at the same time, Derek Cianfrance made a feature film that went to Sundance at the same time when Darren Aronofsky won the Best Director accolade there. And Derek Cianfrance's film, I don't think it got distribution, his first feature. Maybe it did, but that was also in the 90s, during a time that we like to look back and think that films made it out like hotcakes, but really it didn't. You know, it is up to the filmmaker in creating that wave of interest.
Sure, and if it wasn't somewhere in an obscure section of Blockbuster, we might not have found it. You know?
Yeah, it's true.
How many platforms has Clowning been released on?
Between 12 and 14. Yeah, it's been released on, it just came out on Fandango. Yeah, I was really surprised by that, so that's exciting.
Has Gravitas Ventures made your life easier?
I would say I would have no idea how to hit up all these individuals. You know, you can always go through an aggregator and pay money to put something on Prime, but it's so obvious when a film has gone through an aggregator, which because they're only released on 2 or 3 platforms.
Oh.
And so like when a financier will look at something like that, they can actually comprehend how something's being released. So if your film's released on 8 or 10 platforms or more, then it's very obvious that there's an entity pushing it. And then that makes you a backed filmmaker. So it's all a resume builder for the filmmaker for sure.
What have you done to market the movie?
For marketing, on Clowning specifically, that was a big learning curve because we put the whole budget into the film. So making the movie with $165,000, all of that went into the making of the movie. Now I know going into future movies that 10 to 20K should be set aside for marketing purposes. So me and a couple of producers, we put our own money together and we did some Google ads, word of mouth. But on the marketing side, I think it's incredibly important now when you make something to pre-plan what you're going to try to do to get it released. You know, where are you going to put stuff? And definitely that was a part of my learning curve with Clowning, is not being sure. Because, before you sell a movie, there's a lot of aspects of selling a movie you're not really thinking about, because it's a large enough job to write a screenplay. It's a giant job to make a finished movie. And then to release, it's a whole nother mountain to climb. So it was, but I think generally, I've had some friends who release music videos and get 1 million views. And so on YouTube, you can pay $500 to $1,000 to do sponsored ads. And if somebody watches that ad over, I believe, 5 to 10 seconds, I think it's like 8 to 10 seconds, it becomes a view. And then that can drive a lot of people to your music video or trailer for a movie or whatever it is you're trying to promote. But Eli Roth, he did something with some of his most recent filmmaking endeavors. I'm not sure if Thanksgiving was made this way, maybe so, but I know he's promoted directly to Facebook groups himself. So he's found his audiences and promoted. And then there's a company called Show and Tell out there. I don't know every detail about this company right now. I'm still learning about what they do. But this company, they help filmmakers get their films to the right audiences and then make sure the filmmakers get paid. So they're a new entity, but some of my filmmaking friends have been having some really good successes with that company.
Yeah, I love the idea of Facebook groups and things, but even Facebook groups, Reddit, you can get shut down by the moderator after a while because it feels spammy. So I think that's a tough thing, to kind of be in. It seems like you would have to already be in there, genuinely engaging with people.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't have a ton of experience with trying to do a lot of promoting. As a creator, I'm constantly chasing this creative wave, but I'm not super good at self-promotion.
Sure.
Yeah, which I think is a big hang up for a lot of creators. And a lot of us don't want to sit here and focus on our Instagram or make a YouTube channel or, So, yeah, what are you gonna do? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and sometimes you don't have time to take certain shots. So,
Right. Unless you weave some creativity into the Instagram or the YouTube channel.
truly,
Then it doesn't feel like work. But yeah, if you just feel like you're sort of like marketing something and that's not your shtick, you're not
yeah.
really a marketer. Some people love it, they thrive on it. I can see how it would feel like work.
Also, too, like making a YouTube video versus a film, they're different art forms. So, like, you know, if somebody's good at, like, let's say making a film, and then they go to try to make a YouTube video, it might be very unsuccessful. You know, it's just the same thing that Stephen King said about why he still writes short stories. As he said, because at some point an interviewer had asked them, you know, why keep writing these books on short stories? You know, you're writing these successful novels. And he said, well, a short story and a novel are two different art forms, and I like to stay sharp on both. And so I'd imagine making a YouTube channel, a successful YouTube channel, or any kind of YouTube videos, it's a different kind of muscle you have to flex. You have to make so many videos probably every week, keep putting them out very consistently, building that audience, because we have such short attention spans now. So to keep people engaged, I mean, you have to keep putting stuff out, and it's a different kind of workload, for sure.